What's up, cool kids of the internet? Mark with Sharts a Lot Academy here, and I hope you've got your Jinko jeans and your Monster energy drinks. I'm talking about my own high school experience because that's what I think about when I think about Static X. I think about all that awesome stuff from back in the day. Now I know Static X, they've been around, they're still relevant. I just haven't really listened to them since high school, and I'm not sure why. I do know that unfortunately Wayne Static passed away, and they have a new new to me, vocalist Xero, who's apparently doing an amazing job, and I'm excited to get into it. But before we do that, let's go ahead and talk a little bit. So if you're new to the channel, my name is Mark. I am a metal vocalist myself of about 14 years. I'm also a full-time metal vocal coach. I teach people how to do all sorts of crazy cool noises, like, safely and efficiently so they don't hurt themselves and they can meet their metal vocal journeys. Now, I focus generally on like death metal and deathcore and doom and slam and all these sludgy things. So reaching across the aisle a little bit and checking out some new metal, assuming Static X still has those new metal vibes. I don't know. Maybe they've had a total genre shift. But it'll be interesting to do. It'll be interesting to see, especially since I've never heard Xero's voice before. So I'm pretty excited. Now, this is a short song, 2 minutes and 50 seconds. So in the spirit of that, let's wrap up the intro here and let's check out Static X, Otsego Placebo. I don't know. Here we go.
You're having paranoid delusions.
Your brain will not know the difference.
Someone has erased his memory.
Yep.
Operation Devastate, condition critical, automatic detonates, here come the wrecking ball, enemies are acetate, prepare to storm the wall, Operation Devastate. It's about to be okay. Automatic detonate, prepare to storm the wall, here come the wrecking ball, mission to beyond. Your brain will not know the difference.
Okay, that sounds like a really interesting place to pause. Now, I don't know if I mentioned it in the intro, but I do pause and talk about vocal technique here. Look at that sweet screenshot I paused on. That's a stroke of luck. He looks so cool. I'm going to have to use that for the thumbnail. Anyway, so I do talk a lot in pause about vocal technique. So here we go. First and foremost, this vocalist, who again is new to me, I'm not sure when he joined on, is awesome. Super talented. This definitely still sounds a lot like the Static X I remember, but obviously new and fresh, right? Now I heard three things. I'm not sure about the second, so I'm hoping we get that again. But the first thing I heard was a gritty spoken narrative voice. Maybe a little too melodic for spoken, but a gritty, like true tone voice. And what I mean by that is there was grit and there was the sound of vocal cord underneath. And it was utilizing this technique called Kardavox, which is like a throat singing technique that's used a lot in false chord vocals, right? False chord mids and low vocals. And for anybody who's not sure what a false chord vocal is, short answer is that it's a growling style that utilizes the tissues above the vocal folds, but does not use the vocal folds, right? But you can, when doing Kardavox, do them at the same time, and then you have a narrative sound like this, right? And you can kind of find this by doing your clean voice. This is kind of tricky. This takes some time, but you use your clean voice, and then you think about kickstarting an engine with a little cough, with a little throat clear. And you want this to be the most gentle thing ever, because clearing your throat can be kind of hard on your voice. So you want to practice this very sparingly. But and then you're there, right? And I love that. That was such a cool way to start the song. Then to me, this is the part I'm not so sure about. It sounded like a very false chordy high, like yeah. But the reason I'm not so sure is because he immediately then goes into some awesome, very crispy, very well balanced fry screaming for the main vocal section of the song. So it'll be kind of interesting to hear where he goes, but I'm hearing tons of awesome use of mouth shape, widening open the mouth to brighten certain vowels, to brighten certain words. So it's not just like the same scream over and over again. Let's keep going, because I'm sure there's more to talk about, but already I'm super interested in what I'm hearing. And I love that it still sounds like Static X, but it sounds modern. And I don't know how to describe it past that. Here we go. Now, yeah, man, that's another cool screenshot. This guy just looks awesome. Maybe I'll use that one. So this is another really cool thing. Yeah, so these vocals, if you're curious, these are some very solid, very excellently balanced fry screams, right? And they're almost not even screams. It's just such a gritty fry focused singing style. We do get some true vocal tone in there every once in a while, but we have just like this beautiful even grit, right? Now, one thing you can see, obviously you can't see from Xero here, but you can see from the guitarist, because he's clearly on some of the backing vocals, is this really wide open mouth, this really wide open embouchure. And this is really important for a lot of sounds we're going to make, but any sound that utilizes our vocal folds, right? Because right now, the current conventional wisdom, right, which may change down the road, I'm not sure, is that unlike a false chord vocal, a fry vocal is one where your vocal cords are touching together, right, and creating a little bit of grit, right? Now, this is kind of a tricky game because it's very easy to push too hard. And generally, people who learn fry go about it by kind of starting slow, and they'll make a very beginning sound like this, right? You know, it doesn't sound cool, but it sounds like the very first little sprout coming out of the ground, right? They just start with this like, oh, blow, blow, right? Now, obviously, there's no projection in there. There's no pitch in there. Well, there's no like intentional pitch in there, but if you really like those types of vocals, which like these are so clean, like there is a lot of talent and control in these fry tones, and I love how he's tilting them up and making them super masky. But anyway, if you want to start these vocals, that's a good sound to start with, and you can kind of take this. You can't do anything with that. Don't try to scream with that, but it's a good way to get the feeling. And then think about doing it right here. Ha, 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 fly, fly. And that's a good place to start. Let's keep going though. There was one moment where he dipped back into that Cargarius for a split second and then back into that fry vocalization. That is that is a cool coordination. I hope he does it again because it's so subtle, but it's so sick and it really adds a nice spice to the vocals. Here we go. One thing I am really enjoying about the way that they're doing this live, I'm not sure of the guitarist's name, I apologize, but I love how the guitarist, at least, you know, and I don't know if this is different studio version versus live version, but I'm going with what I see, right? I love how the guitarist will hold out a scream, right? And then Xero comes in over top, and they are almost the exact same sounding screams, so it sounds really inhuman. It sounds like you're like, a human shouldn't be able to do that, and it gives the whole thing this very creepy vibe that I absolutely love. Now, I want to talk a little bit more about just vocals in general, right? One of the biggest things that people run into, and this is no surprise, is they have some difficulty doing breaths or utilizing proper breath support. And that's a whole big topic that we don't really have time to talk about here. But it's difficult to understand what you should feel. Once you have it, like many things, it's quite easy. Everything's easy once you get it, basically. But when you don't have it, it can be very confusing as to what it feels like. You'll hear people say, breathe from the diaphragm. You'll hear people say, you know, squeeze with your gut or feel the poop muscles or things like that. And those are all great pieces of advice. But if you don't have a frame of reference, it means nothing, right? So there's one way that people generally tend to do this, and I think that it's not inherently bad, but it can create some bad habits without guidance. And it's this sort of like hup exercise, right? To feel the squeeze in the abdominal muscles. Hup, 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 hup. it's not bad when it works. When it works, that can be an excellent way to get a good feeling of what breath support, at least for screams, feels like. However, there are a couple difficulties. Number one, it involves a really sharp and really hard glottal close, right? So when I'm talking about the glottis, I'm talking about the vocal folds, the space the vocal folds live in. And when I'm talking about, I don't know if glottal close is like an academic term, but it's what it sounds like. You're taking those vocal cords and you're smushing them, you're slamming together really hard and holding that air back, right? Now, of course, you don't have to do it that way, but somebody out there watching that exercise on YouTube would, hey, oh, we got a visitor. Yeah, that's a light. He just learned to open doors. So he's doing it. Daddy's filming a video. Oh, that's my camera. That's my camera. Mwah. You gotta go with mommy. Okay. Bye, little buddy. He's learned how to open doors, and so he just smacked the door open. Go on, Des. Now my dog, the whole family's in here. Bye, I love you. Oh, that was sweet. Anyway, what was I talking about? He's finally got this motion down. Shit. What was I talking about? Oh yeah. So that hup exercise, it's not bad, and I think with guidance it can be really good. But you, the person learning on the other end of the camera, you might not know what you should feel here, and you might not know what you should feel here. So if that hasn't been working for you, let me offer you an alternative. Okay, just a different thing to try. You're gonna put your finger up to your lips like you're shushing somebody, and you're gonna put your finger flat. And you're going to take a breath in and you're going to breathe out hard past your finger like you're blowing up an inflatable pool toy and it's almost done, right? So it's going to feel and sound like this. And when I do that, I can't tilt that camera. I have where an airplane seatbelt would be, right around my belly button. I have a band of activation, and I do feel some downward pelvic floor sensation, right? Some downward you hear it called like the poop muscles or the dump, right? One of my students calls it a turbo fart because he says it's like pushing out a fart. Now, this is going to give you a much stronger sensation than you probably need. But what we can do is we can use that to lean into our distortion a little bit. And this is something you should do with guidance. So if I have like this sort of pseudo fritone, and again, we're just going to give it a little bit. We're not going to give it too much because a lot of the volume we want to get with our screams is actually from up here, not from pushing here. But if I have like this la la basic sound, really basic, or like a also really basic, I can do like this feeling to start leaning in, or right, to start leaning in and slowly adding a little bit of power behind it. And what we hear here from Xero is like an incredible balance of activation of the abdominal muscles, downward pelvic floor sensation, just tons of relaxation in the neck, other than a little bit of closure on the vocal folds, and most importantly, a beautifully shaped vocal tract. If your vocals sound dull and dead, the problem is probably not here. The problem is here. Anyways, I really think this stuff is interesting, and I could talk forever, but y'all probably want to hear the end of this song. So here we go. I love that tone. I love that tone.
It's about to be okay. Automatic detonation. The baddest on the wall. Here comes the wrecking ball.
Boys want me, motherfucker.
That's sick. That song was sick. It was super short, a lot shorter than I normally like. I'm a big fan of longer songs, but that was perfect. That song was catchy. It was bright. You could certainly bounce and bob along to it. That was awesome. And that high fritone was excellent. I'm not even going to attempt it because the shape of that tone was so pure, right? And a lot of that comes from being able to while keeping the vocal space as relaxed as possible. It's excellent. It's excellent. I could say a lot more, but that's enough for now, especially since I got a lot more videos to record. But yeah, you know, it's really cool. And again, I'm saying this because I was checked out. This is not a reflection of Static X, but it's really cool to see Static X still like super, super relevant, because I know they had a couple breaks there. And I can only imagine how difficult it would be when, you know, the vocalist and like one of the most iconic people of your band passes away. So I'm really happy. I'm really happy to see this. And I loved the vibe of that song. I think that's it for me today. I've got some other stuff to film, but this was excellent. If you like the content, again, be sure to like, share, and subscribe. If you're also interested in some of the false chord stuff out there, you know, or even the more old school, like, you know, E-A-B-C-D-A. You can check out False Chord Fundamentals on KardavoxAcademy.com, as well as info on one-on-one lessons. But really just, you know, watching the video and hanging out with me is the most important thing. And with that being said, many thanks, much love, I'm out.